Welcome back to the Bronx Journal. I'm your guest host, Jennifer Delgado. Staggering increases in obesity rates and weight-related illnesses in the United States have become a growing epidemic. In New York City alone, 3.2 New Yorkers are either overweight or obese. These issues have inspired the formation of programs to educate and provide access to living a healthier lifestyle, and Harvest Home Farmers Markets is one of those programs. It's a nonprofit organization that provides local, farm-fresh produce to low-income communities. Founder Maritza Owens joins us today to discuss these citywide programs and their significance, especially to the Bronx. Maritza, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Now, I understand the Harvest Home was started in 1993. How did that start? How did that go about?
Well, believe it or not, it was a job that I had back in 1993 under the Healthy Start initiative, which is an initiative in the South Bronx to reduce infant mortality. And one of the mandates was to start a farmers market in the South Bronx, which I did as part of my job. And then I moved on to another job somewhere else. And about 2 or 3 years later, when the organization had lost its funding, I was called back to take over control of those markets, because those markets are tied in with the WIC program, and families who are on WIC receive farmers market nutrition coupons to be able to come and shop at the farmers markets. And at that time, there was no one doing this type of work. So if I had not taken over those markets, they would have died, and those families would have lost the benefit of being able to shop at the farmers market with their coupons. So I did that. And over the years, I continued to do that, helping other organizations in the South Bronx to start markets. But I noticed that as time went on, the markets would not thrive because, again, no one was dedicated to just doing farmers markets. It was part of their job function, and they were doing many other things, but the markets would not survive. So I decided that the next time a nonprofit came and asked me to do a farmers market, I would do the farmers market, but I would keep the market myself, keep control of the markets, and continue to, do them. And I did that for many years as a hobby. I had a full-time job and did the farmers markets because they run from July through November, and so I was able to, sustain the markets. And by 2007, I had amassed 13 farmers markets, primarily in low-income communities. And then with that came the admin of food stamps, which became a plastic card, as everybody knows now is called EBT. And with that, I had to hire staff. Right. Then all of a sudden, the epidemic of obesity and hypertension and diabetes hit the national media, and then eating healthy and having access to healthy food became on the forefront of everyone's agenda. Right. And more organizations, foundations, local government, just about everyone started paying attention to that. And there was actually now funding available to support this type of work. And so we became a nonprofit in 2007, and the rest is history. Right.
So how many farmers markets do we actually have in the Bronx?
We have 9 farmers markets in the Bronx, and many of them have been around for more than 10 years. For example, we have a market at Mount Eden that's been around for almost 15 years. Wow. We still have a market that we started back, one of the first markets that we did on Forest Avenue, 156th Street, which is kind of dying down now. I mean, over the years, demographics in the neighborhoods have changed, and so we're learning that, even over time, the demographics of the communities have impacted the farmers markets that we've had. So some of them are still, struggling, but they're still there, and they still provide a source of access to fresh fruits for many people in the neighborhood.
Right. So when you speak about demographics, what demographic are you actually trying to reach?
Most of the markets that we've done have been provided in communities that have low access to fruit. So we're talking about high poverty, high chronic illness, high unemployment, right. Just about, these are the communities where, everybody told me the farmers would not come. Back in 1993, we were trying to look for a location to do a farmers market. I was told that, the markets would not survive because the farmers wouldn't come. They're right. coming from upstate New York. Many of these neighborhoods did not look pretty back then, and they don't look pretty now. But, these people, I think, in my opinion, deserve to have access to the same quality food that anybody else in other areas of the city have. And so the markets that we provide, that we create, provide that access.
Absolutely. And what would you say are the health benefits to having these farmers markets around?
The fruit that you get at the farmers market is literally picked the day before. So it's high in nutrient, high in flavor. The shelf life of what you're getting is much longer than what you would buy in a supermarket, and the taste is incredible. So, you're talking about getting something that's really ripened on the tree, as opposed to something that's been picked and gassed and, picked before it was fit, and the taste is just compromised when you do that.
And what do these farmers markets typically sell?
We sell pretty much anything that's grown locally. One of the requirements for having the farmers markets is that it provides local farmers the opportunity to come and sell their produce. So you will never find bananas and oranges and plátanos at the farmers market, but you will find, just about any type of produce that's grown locally. You'll find apples, all of the plums and berries. You'll find, lettuces, peppers, just about any vegetable that's grown in the New York metropolitan area.
And from my understanding, as you mentioned, you accept the food stamps EBT cards. Are there any other programs that you accept?
So we also accept WIC. So every family that is on WIC receives a $24 booklet of farmers market nutrition coupons. So that's an additional incentive for the families to come and shop at the farmers market. There's also a senior farmers market nutrition program coupon. It's a very small program and it's very limited, but there's also provides access for seniors. And then there's food stamps. And then more recently, the Department of Health initiated a new program that was an incentive for individuals who were using their food stamps to come and shop at the farmers market, where for every $5 that they spend in their food stamps, they get an additional $2 health buck that they're able to use to shop at the farmers market for fruits and vegetables. So you're getting actually $7 for every $5 that you spend in your food stamps.
Wow, that's excellent. But I also see in New York City, they have their own programs, these food carts, these green NYC food carts. How do the farmers market differ?
Very different in that most of the produce on the food carts, again, is brought from, you can buy that at Hunts Point. That stuff is stuff that's shipped in from Chile, Guatemala, all over the world. It's not something that comes directly from a farm. It's the type of produce that I mentioned earlier. It's produce that, was picked before its time and brought to, it's ripened in the box as opposed to ripened on a tree, and it's not local. A lot of that stuff also has pesticides, because it's come from big farms.
Right.
Most of the farms that come to the farmers market are small family farms, and yes, they might use some herbicides to control weed and stuff like that, but they're not using the kind of pesticides that you would use in big agro companies.
And is this program year-round? How does this work?
The farmers markets run from July through November,
Okay.
and it's tied in with the WIC farmers market coupon because those expire November 15th. We have been expanding the farmers market. Some of them run through December, and we're trying to, as much as possible, try to achieve year-round markets in some areas. For example, last year we were able to do a year-round market with one of our markets that we do at Jacobi Hospital, where we took it indoors, and the market went through till April.
All right. So how can we find these farmers markets in our neighborhood?
Well, we can go to our website, harvesthomefm.org. We have all our markets listed there. We're currently in 4 boroughs. We're in the Brooklyn, Manhattan, Queens, and we're starting our markets in the Bronx. We pretty much have markets running from Tuesday through Sunday, so on any given day, you can find a harvest market somewhere in your neighborhood. And so we encourage people to either go to our website or call our office.
And back to the whole nutritional aspect of it, do you offer any nutritional advice or information at the markets?
Well, we actually this year started piloting our own nutrition education program. One of the things that we've learned is that, because of the communities that we're in,
Right.
there's also a high immigrant population that may not be familiar with some of the local produce that we sell at the market. Because if you're coming from Mexico, you might not know what a zucchini is, or you might not know what yellow tomato might be, and so people tend to purchase what they're accustomed to. So by having a nutrition education program at the market, it gives people an opportunity to try the produce, to obtain a recipe that they might be able to go home and then try. So we've been we've been starting to do that on our own, and it really helps. Whatever recipe that we do at the market, the produce actually moves, and you can see people actually going back and buying that particular produce that day,
Right.
and using it.
If you could give us a little more information, what's the actual objective of this program?
The objective is to educate about produce, is to actually encourage people to eat and prepare meals,
Right.
is to also give people an opportunity to try something different, because we all tend to be very culturally, sensitive. We kind of stay within our own niche and don't want to expand. So it kind of helps people expand their palate a little bit, and to actually teach people that try something new. The kids, for example, will say, the vegetables don't taste good.
Right.
If you prepare them well, they taste good. My daughter eats kale. She loves kale. She loves spinach.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
when I tell people that, they're like a 12-year-old eating kale, and she actually enjoys it. But it's the way it's prepared and the fact that she's tried it and it actually tastes good.
And now I just have a quick question about maybe the competition. Is there any resentment or any competition with other markets in the area, like fruit, vegetable markets?
Well, I mean, people feel that, you know, when we're in proximity to, like, let's say greengrocer or supermarket, that is a competition. It really isn't. And actually, what we do is we actually help improve the quality of the produce in those venues, because people then become educated about, oh, you know, an apple actually doesn't have to look all brown and bruised, and so
Right.
they're able to demand better quality. And a lot of the times those venues end up buying from us. Like, we've had, you know, greengrocers come and shop from the farmers markets because customers that have been coming
Wow.
and shopping at the market have gotten accustomed to the quality of the produce there, and then they realize, well, it would help us because people would then come back and buy from us. It also helps them because they don't have to travel that further to buy the produce. A lot of them end up buying directly from the farmer. So it gives them an incentive to also, you know, provide better quality.
And in terms of pricing, do you feel, you know, it's the same or?
Some items could be a little bit more expensive, but what I tell people is, you know, the comparison is that the quality of what you're getting
Right.
is also much higher, and the shelf life of what you're getting is also much higher. So you might end up spending, you know, maybe 10 or 20 cents more a pound
Right.
for an item, but in the long term, you're actually getting a much better quality.
And now we all know the economy is not doing so well. So has the economic situation created obstacles for Harvest Home?
Not really, and what we find is that more people are using their food stamps to come and shop at the farmers market, and they're really taking advantage of that additional incentive that I mentioned earlier, the health bucks.
Right.
And you know, there is a huge. We found that, you know, the hunger level and the communities are much higher. People are really out there, really struggling, are really
Right.
hungry, and so one of the things that we also try to do is we try to donate the produce that is not usable at the end of the day to some of the food pantries, because we've learned from them that their lines have actually doubled and tripled. So there is, you know, a higher need for food, you know, in the communities because people are really, you know, in need.
Absolutely. And besides the fact that these farmers markets provide a nutritional option to lower income communities, is there another message that you're trying to send with Harvest Home?
Well, one of the things we've also been trying to do is try to get the young people, the young kids in. So we've tried to get encourage tours. Many of the schools now come to our farmers market and bring their classes to do tours at the markets. In Manhattan, we've worked with Borough President Scott Stringer, for example, and we have a youth program where they have rebranded some of the health bucks, and those health bucks youth bucks are then distributed to some of the elementary schools.
Oh, wow.
And this summer alone, we had over 2,000 young people from kindergarten through 5th grade come to the farmers markets. So they're learning about local produce. They're actually shopping, and it's amazing to me to see that some of them come and they actually know what they want. Now they'll tell me, oh, I want some apples and I want some carrots, and they're actually taking that information home to their parents as well. So
Excellent.
we're also trying to grab them a little younger through the program.
That's great. And how have you seen this program grow in the past 18 years?
Well, I can tell you the most growth that we've seen is that, you know, every year the demand for farmers market increases. Like right now, we have already around 10 organizations that have contacted us to do a farmers market. I want to say that every market that we've done in response to someone calling us and saying we want a market in that community, whether it's an individual or an organization.
Right.
That's how we've developed the markets that we have, and then also. Our food stamp every year. Last year we redeemed over $100,000 in food stamps, and that number continues to grow every single year. The first year that we started accepting food stamps, we only redeemed $17,000, and by in the last 4 years, that number has doubled and quadrupled. So, you know, the expansion of the program is significant from year to year.
That's excellent. And I mean, I'm even interested, but if someone were interested in volunteering to a local farmers market, how would they go about doing that?
Well, on our website, we actually have a volunteer form, and we actually have interns that have worked with us this summer, and we have gotten a lot of people that come out and help out. We actually, for example, did a play street this summer, and so that play street was run completely by volunteers, where we had a couple of our markets where we closed the street off. We were able to use the other half of the street to provide physical activities for young people from 10 to 2 every day for 6 weeks in the summer. So we've had volunteers come and help us with that program. Our nutrition education program is totally volunteer run. And so we're now looking to do an indoor winter program, taking our nutrition education program around to different venues. So if anybody's interested in volunteering, please go to our website and fill out the volunteer form, and we'll definitely respond.
Maritza, it's honestly been a great pleasure to meet you and get more information on this. But where can our viewers obtain just general information on Harvest Home?
Again, our website is www.harvesthomefm.org, or call our office at 212-828-3361.